yeah, I took it all for granted. Head up in the clouds, yeah, I never understand it. I remember thinking I don't need you, but then time passed by and it's so untrue. Now I'm the rain over your parade, reason you're over me. Yeah, I always keep making the same mistakes. Maybe I never deserved you anyway. I could make you mad, I could make you scream, I could make you cry, I could make you leave, I could make you hate me for everything, but I can't make you come back to me. I could make a world out of broken dreams, I could make you say things you don't mean. I can all make all we were made to be, but I can't make you come back to me. But I can't make you come back to me. Call me all day, but I never pick up. Instead of pulling my weight, always pushing my luck. You gave me all that.
Hello guys. I was enjoying the music and saying hello to everybody. Wow, I appreciate the hellos. I know, right? This song from The Rose is amazing. We saw them in concert in Los Angeles in early November. So I had to play it because my husband is joining shortly and he's been loving The Rose. Wow, London, thank you for joining with timing. I love it. Saying hi to everybody. Please give your shout outs on the chat box. Welcome to K-Talk episode 8, our final episode for 2023. Oh my gosh, in just like a couple weeks, it'll be 2024. So let's look forward to it, shall we? So let's start with some updates before I bring in our special guest, technically my Oppa. I know I crack up when I say that because I don't call him that. You can ask why I don't call him that, and we can talk about it later. So updates. Let's start first with my book. So you guys are probably so tired of hearing my book, but just FYI, you're going to hear more about my book because there's a lot of months coming up till May. I am so thankful for your pre-orders that I had to give you guys a gift. So if you haven't quite emailed your proof of purchase, please do, because I took time to record one of my core workshops. You get a brief snippet because some of my workshops could be 60 minutes to like 3 hours. And I don't ever record my workshops, FYI, but I had to because this book means so much. And then your just purchase and I guess your support of it means so much. And there is a dedication to all you guys. If I could list everybody, it would take like 10 pages and they said no. So I just gave you guys a general shout out. So here's the QR code and you'll get a recorded webinar from me. You can email the pre-order to marketing@nunezvinci.com. Marketing@nunezvinci.com. I'll do more information on that. Okay, let's go on to the tours. So officially sold out April, and June. I would say at this point, we looked at it earlier and about 75 to 76% sold out for 2024. Now, I'll be honest, the weather in September and October, and maybe April's still chilly, is absolutely beautiful in the fall. So if you have not signed up yet and want to consider doing so, here's what I have to say. In January to March, Korean Airlines is doing some discounts, and they announced that you can take any airline you want. I just technically prefer Korean Airlines, the best food, but I noticed when they said they were going to do these discount promotions to South Korea to and from the Americas and Europe, I'm like, darn, go for that. So in tours next year, yeah, there'll be, there's 6 tours in 2024, 3 left. 3 left. One of the October groups is close to selling out. So I forget which one. I think the first or second, one of them. So there's a QR code, check it out. And you get to meet me and some other folks. The September and October folks, I think the September folks are on this chat. They're lovely, and you can just ask them. Hopefully they'll say good stuff. Oh, the second October tour is almost sold out. So stay tuned for that. Okay, so I want to introduce my guest. Let me just tell you guys, we had lots of good questions. We chose, there are a lot of redundant questions, right? So we made sure that we weren't being redundant with our questions. So we have about 11 to 12 questions for this interview, which my oppa, my husband, okay, I can't say oppa, never mind, just my husband is nervously excited for. So please join me in welcoming shortly, but let me introduce you to him because you know him as my husband, but he has been in public school education for 27 years. He retired a few years early because I was getting overwhelmed with the tour stuff because of you guys in a good way and just wanting to expand. And when I expanded into Korea, that's when it kind of really hit me where, because I'm also a speaker and I'm a mental health expert, my energy needs to go there as well. So I can't handle everything. So he is officially on board as our Chief Operating Officer for Nunas Nunchi LLC and Nunas Nunchi Inc., which is located in South Korea. Thank you guys for saying hello. I'm going to bring him in. Let's welcome Mr. Jonathan Chang. Yay!
Hey
Yeah,
guys.
hello. Hello, Mr. Jonathan
Hey, thanks
Chang.
for having me. And just a quick hello. I met some of Jeannie's followers in our September-October tour this year. And the word that I use to describe them and also for her community is just lovely. You guys are just lovely, lovely people. And thank you so much for having me on your show.
Yes, because I asked a fun question. Do you guys want him? Because I always thought, you guys know I watched these K-dramas with him and you've gotten to know him on the tours or the people who run on the tours. And so it was like unanimous, unless people were like, oh, I shouldn't say no to Jeanie. No, I really meant it when I asked, do you want him? Let's get him here. And then we got great questions geared toward him. So let's get started. Honey, are you ready? Oh, do you want to share why I don't call you Oppa?
Yeah, I guess when we were dating, what was it? I think I was in grad school. You were a rising senior at NYU. And when we started dating, we talked about what to call each other. And I think even back then, when we talked about Oppa, you're like, ew. So I think we settled on Honey, right?
Yeah, obviously I call him. I'm Korean American, so the Oppa thing doesn't quite match, right? The culture, and I think I just can't do that. It's easier for me to call you Chagiya or Chagi, which is like another Korean version. But either way, when I say Oppa, I'm being facetious. Like that's not what I call him. Though I have tons of friends who are Korean Americans, but also in Korea that call their husbands Oppa. And he literally is an Oppa. He's a few years older than me. But let's get started. Thank you for all the shout outs. Look, Oregon, Minnesota. Oh, Minnesota must be cold. So I'm not going to complain about the cold here. And Martha's Vineyard, totally want to visit there. Let's start with question number 1. Don't be too nervous, right, honey?
No.
You're good. Okay. What do you think about the male lead characters in a K-drama versus reality?
So I think people understand that it's dramatized, right? So it's for entertainment purposes. And one thing I do want to notate is I think like 97% of the Korean drama writers are women in Korea. So I think what they're trying to portray in the male lead is just kind of their ideal male person that they would want as their husband or as their partner. So I think it's kind of a high standard that they're setting. And I think the reality is most Korean men, especially living in Seoul, which is a tough city where you got to grind. So like New York City or San Francisco or downtown LA. So, maybe they can't do the off the cuff camping trip for a night or two or whisk their ladies away on some trip, but there are small things that they try to do to to be romantic. And I think in Korea, when we were there too, we saw a lot of couples wearing matching outfits. Like we thought that was kind of cute, so we took a lot of those pictures. And then just small things, that guys will do to be romantic in Korea. But again, the reality, like I don't think it's gonna be like that. And for those that are looking for a partner like that, might be in for a shock because not all guys are going to be like that. And just like Hollywood too. I mean, we kind of romanticize it, but the reality sets in too. So yeah.
Yeah, so just to summarize, some folks just joined, just the reality of male lead characters versus K-drama. You mainly talked about uh they're hardworking. It's there's not much time for romance. That's what, in case people join late, that's what he was
Yeah.
saying. When you're in Korea, you see them working hard, and I do hear from a lot of couples. It's not like they go, oh, let's go on this weekend trip to our second vacation home. You guys all know that, right? With all the scenarios that are elaborate for dramas. And then he was right though. Can I emphasize, honey? We did see a lot of couples twinning. We thought about twinning, but I'm like, that's kind of cringy, cheesy, but they do that in Korea. You will literally, and I couldn't grab every photo. I think I had two.
Mm.
You will see them dressed to the nines as couples with even like the shawls. You know what I'm talking about, with like an extra sweater, and we'll crack up and we'll kind of point to each other going, there's another one. There's another one. So that's legit what you see. I would say some of like the cheesiness, right? That you see in K-dramas, that the male leads, or technically the males contribute to that, like being open to wearing the same clothes as their, partner.
Yeah, like we thought it was cute, not cheesy per se, but I just I thought it,
Okay, cheesy,
yeah.
cute. Okay, you thought it was cute. Good. I'm glad you thought it was cute. Okay, let's go to the next question. I love how people are saying hello to you. What is something unexpected that you learn from K-dramas? Anything from history, culture, geography, trends. That's a good
Well,
one.
I immigrated to the States back in December of '79. So I didn't know about this whole loan shark phenomenon that Korean is still grappling with. So I think I only saw that in a K movie and K dramas. And then, for me, my go-to information sources when we travel to Korea, Jeannie's busy taking videos or posting on her social media, but I'm generally the one speaking with the taxi driver, and I get all my info. And the loan shark thing I asked this past summer, I go, sir, is it as bad as they portrayed in the dramas? And he actually said, no, it used to be bad, but he goes, it's much more better now. So I guess it's more regulated is my guess. So it's better. And then like another fun note this summer, the taxi driver, this 70-year-old grandpa said, a lot of the younger folks are now drinking Japanese beer versus their own Korean beer. And then I was surprised by that. And then when we went to restaurants and I would just follow up and ask, and they verified that that is the case. So again, taxi drivers are a great source of trends and what's happening in Korea, because a lot of times they're older, like 60, 70. Some you kind of question whether they should be on the road, but again, they're a great source of information.
Yeah, that's true. You are always talking to him. And yes, it's true. I'm posting content, but sometimes I'm so car sick in those cars, in the taxis.
Right.
I'm like, I'm going to close my eyes as Jonathan's talking, because they're driving crazy. If you've been in a Seoul taxi, they are crazy.
And then for me, I guess it's good to practice my Korean, because it's getting it's not as good as it used to be. So I'm trying to get back into it.
Yeah, someone asked a good question though. Were Japanese beer brands shown in a K-drama? I don't know if they really show. Sometimes they'll show the Korean brands, but have we seen? We might soon, because that is the latest trend.
But I can't recall ever seeing it. So maybe they do that on purpose.
They don't do that on purpose, but I mean, they may do that on purpose, but we were sharing the latest trends. Yeah, the young folks supporting that. What other trends are we seeing? Well, anyways, there's so many questions to go through, but yeah, keep those questions in the chat box going. We will go to the next one. But yes, taxi drivers are amazing for information, and it's good you practice your Korean. So what do you look for in a K-drama?
First, the storyline has to be good. So for me to see a picture on Netflix as an example, and then you click on it to get a quick synopsis of what the story is. So if that's engaging, that's one. But the K-dramas, I guess in general, it has to be the emotional connection that I get from the leads. So the male and the female leads are very important. If I don't like the lead, one or the other, then it's really hard for me to get into a K-drama, to be honest. But once I commit and start watching, it's really the nostalgia, the connection, the emotions that K-dramas are so good at bringing up. So when I see a touching relationship between a mother and daughter, or mother and son, in my case, it always gets me emotional and makes me think of my mom, you know? So I think those connections and those emotions that it brings up, serves up, I think is key.
Yeah, thanks for sharing that. I was gonna share, when we're watching K-dramas together, I do look over at him because I'm obviously tearing. You tear up at the emotional, touching moments, not always sad
Right.
moments. And then I'll look over at Jonathan, and sometimes like, darn it, can I take a video of him? Because he's wiping away a tear. Yeah, I think you cry more than me actually, or tear up more than me. But yes, he is. And those are private moments, so I'm not going to post those. But yes, you see him. And then you do talk about your mom a lot.
Yeah.
So.
And again, I think the fact that K-dramas can stir those emotions, I think is pretty magical, and most guys in general, we're not the types to cry often or easily. So when people can cause you to get emotional, I think it's, again, pretty powerful.
Are you about to get emotional, honey?
No, I'm okay.
Okay. Great. Next question. And we'll get to those questions in the chat box. I love it, especially the crash landing one. As a viewer, what do you think of how masculinity is portrayed in American TV movies versus American TV/movies versus K-dramas?
That's an interesting question. I think there is a general divide between the Western and Eastern, and K-dramas definitely fall in the Eastern style of TV making and movie making. And I do think there's a little bit more vulnerability on the Eastern side that I think also is what attracts Western viewers to the Eastern shows and movies and whatnot. So yeah, I think the Korean male leads show a little bit more. They're more vulnerable with their feelings overall compared to Hollywood, let's say,
Now, would you say that mimics real life? That's a follow from Jeanie Chang.
See, I don't know. And maybe I think maybe not. Just again, because I think the Korean drama writers, being female, want to portray or want this ideal Korean man to be so emotionally connected with them. So that's what they're portraying and that's what they want. But again, I don't know if that's a reality per se,
Yeah, because that's the honest truth. It's not like I've ever seen, you don't see a lot of like Korean men cry except in the K-dramas, but I do believe they could be crying behind the scenes. It's actually in my book, which I'll share, that when I was doing research for the book, when Misang came out, 2014 Misang, an office K-drama that kind of really pivoted the workplace, grown men cried watching that. And wives told me this. I confirmed it with so many people. I confirmed it with like people's young kids who are like, yeah, my dad was crying seeing that. So that's legit. So that's what I found out in my research. But between me and Jonathan, no, I was trying to think, did I ever see my husband cry or my dad cry? No, but I really believe it could be behind closed doors. Because of course we're all human. There's no such thing as holding it in. Then you know what I say. If you hold it in too much, it's not healthy. So, that's a good question. We'll hold on to that one. I love these questions. Okay, let's go to the next one just to get through the ones that we saw in the channel. Was there a character that you resonated with the most and why?
Okay, so this is interesting. Like I didn't pick a glamorous like Chebor, whatever type of a character. I actually chose or thought about, is it Bong and Hwan from Reply 1988? The two boys with the eccentric dad and a mean mom. Like I related to the dad because of just, I guess, my personality too. I'm more like, more of like a family man. I put my family above everything else. So seeing him just unconditionally loving his family was something that I resonated with. You know, like almost to a fault, right? But like the flip side to that is like even the sensitive, the nice guys, sometimes they get hurt. And I think in Reply 1988, they showed him getting upset and kind of withdraw for a while. So I think even that, I think they tried to help portray that side of that type of a personality, like in a person too. So I thought that was nice. But yeah, so that would be my guy. Not glamorous, but like I resonated with him.
Yeah. And to go on, yes, that's totally true. If you guys watch Reply 1988, the dad does all this fun, quirky stuff. So I wouldn't necessarily say Jonathan's quirky, but he does that stuff. But I will say, yeah, the Korean word is like bijasa, because the dad gave all, there's a scene, and I remember what it is, episode 4, where he finally gets hurt because he does all this and the kids ignore him, his wife ignores him. And then I've seen you do that too. Well, I'm like, oh, daddy's upset. You guys, we made daddy upset. So
well, like it takes a lot to get there
sometimes?
though.
Yeah, it does. It takes a lot because he's pretty patient, but I'm like, you guys, I think you need to say something to daddy on the text thread. So just sharing that. But yeah, Chung-bong's dad, I forget his name, but he's a great dad. Reply 1988. Okay, next question. Yeah, a lot of people are resonating with that one. What advice do you have for getting husbands into K-dramas? So there was a question also in the chat box, I think from Mary, about getting like other guys or her grandson into K-dramas. I think this would apply to that.
Yeah, and I think this came up in our September-October tour from some of our folks that came to it as well. And my advice would be, like, I get why there's that hesitation from the guys, especially when you say, hey, let's watch a 16 episode drama. And if that's your first introduction to something, that's a lot to swallow in one pill. So my recommendation, and at least for me, because I kind of grew up watching actually Chinese movies because of my roommate in college. When I was at USC, a Chinese roommate of mine would take me to these Chinese like hidden theaters in downtown LA. And I fell in love with just the cinematography and just the storytelling. It was, again, very different from the Western culture. So I started there. And then obviously I moved into the Korean movies. And so like I watch a lot of Korean movies with Jeanie and a lot without her too. But so maybe that might be a good way to kind of segue in. And I know from the October tour, someone said K-pop is how they got into K-drama, because some of their K-pop singers were in K-dramas, male and female. And they would be like, oh, she's in this or he's in that. And then they would start watching and then they would get hooked. So maybe definitely try like a low commitment level first. So watch a movie together and maybe try something that as a female that you might not typically watch yourself, that might cater towards your husband or your boyfriend or whoever. Watch like a zombie movie or an apocalyptic movie or like a thriller or something that you might typically not watch, but just watch it together for the sake of trying to introduce K content to that person, and then maybe ease them in. And then as far as K-dramas, oh my gosh, there's hundreds and hundreds and thousands of them. So make sure you pick something that you think your husband would like, like research a little bit into what types of genres they're into. And then once you kind of narrow in on the genre, there's, again, lots of choices to pick from.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Oh yeah. Ballerina. You saw that with that. Remember you mentioned Ballerina to me? I'm like, didn't see that with you.
Yeah.
Because I don't watch those dark ones.
Yeah.
Vincenzo's a good one. Honey, you were talking about some movies. Why don't you offer some movies and I like that suggestion, because guys are sitting there going, how long's the K-drama? You're like, 12, 16 episodes. That's long. That is a commitment, right? So starting with, I like the K movie. Do you have some recommendations for folks?
Well, I think a lot of guys will enjoy Old Boy. and there was an American adaptation of it as well. So
Yeah, that's the dark
yeah,
one.
if you want to watch the, maybe even start with the American version and then watch the Korean one, or vice versa. And then there's
Train to Busan.
yeah, Train to Busan's another one. What's another big one? Like Parasite. Like it's an Oscar winner, so you can't kind of go wrong with
There you
something
go.
like that.
Bertha said Parasite. Yeah. I think that's good advice. Yeah. So start with the Korean movie. Maybe start a little bit small and going, hey, it's just 2 hours. And then go big. But yeah, Vincenzo's and My Name, great ones. Yes. Ballerina. It's so funny. My husband's talking about Ballerina. I'm like, I don't know what K-drama you're talking about. What are you talking about? I didn't see it.
Yeah.
So I don't see those with him. Awesome. Okay, next question. Beware of the zombies. Yeah. What K-drama has made the most impact in your daily life?
I mean, I think of Reply 1988, but the one that comes to mind more so is Crash Landing on You. Like I have to admit, I watched the whole drama twice. Once with Jeanie and then once just on my own. Like sometimes when I'm working, like I have it on, like turned on, and then if it gets to a good scene, I pause my work and I watch it, But I think Crash Landing on You, just because of the romance story is so good, and the chemistry between the two leads is really good. The brotherly love amongst the soldiers is really honorable and good, and even the parent to adult children relationship, like I thought it was really good. Kind of the sacrificial, like supporting their kids, like no matter what type of thing. So yeah, so Crash Landing on You, like I really enjoyed watching and really liked the story that they told.
Yeah. So I think someone said yes, the best, and who's not fascinated by North Korea? True. And he does play the OST like every other day. Okay, awesome. Next question. Yeah, the chemistry was good, clearly, because they got married. Next question is your top 5. And which one did you and Jonathan have opposite opinions?
Let's answer the easy one first. I don't think there's anything that we have opposite opinions. I think some dramas, like I think we watch what, honey, what do you think? Like 80 to 85% K-dramas we watch together. And then
most together.
Yeah.
And then opposite opinions. I would rephrase that. It would be more like there are ones that he will watch that I won't. So he watches, I keep saying this, he watches more than me, because I'll be like, yeah, I'm not gonna watch that one. Go watch that one, Or like
well, I'm not sure if it's more than you. I think because you watch a few that I don't watch with you sometimes.
That's true. That's like not a lot though. You watch a lot more than me, I think. Because when you said Ballerina, I'm like, when did you watch that one?
Yeah.
Steel Rain, that's a good movie. Yeah. Okay. We that was the opposite opinion, but not really opposite. It's just if I don't want to watch it, I won't. But he will probably watch it.
So top 5, like I would definitely say the 3 that we talked about from the get-go. Reply 1988 is one of my all-time favorites. Crash Landing on You, My Mister was really good, and then My Name. I think I watched it with Jeanie, started it together, but I finished it alone. Like Mr. Sunshine. Like it's hard to put just the top 5, but I think those come to mind immediately.
Oh, I had no idea My Name is in your top 5. I did end up finishing it though.
Oh, did you? Okay, yeah.
Yeah, it took me like probably a couple weeks. Wow, that's something I learned. Yes, I knew about the other ones. Okay, My Name. Yeah, that's true. You do mention. By the way, we saw the My Name with Han So-hee, right? Briefly at one of the parties in Busan. You saw her, and I was like, oh, she walked over there.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so hopefully that answered your questions. Next question is, what K-dramas would you recommend and why? Well, I guess that kind of answers that first. Well, yeah. What K-dramas would you recommend?
Well, I don't know if I could just give a plain answer to that, because I think it's what you're looking for, right? And if you want like a rom-com, there's so many to choose from. But rom-com wise, hey, hun, you might have to help me out because we watch so many that we like.
Yeah, this is for you. I know. What K-dramas would you recommend?
Now
We'll
what's
talk to
the
top. You already talked about Crash Landing, you know,
right.
obviously that. How about this year, 2023?
Well, what about like the Diva Island one? What was that called?
Oh, Castaway Diva.
Castaway Diva. That was good. If you want something that's more family and community, Hometown Cha 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 is one of my favorites too. And then, hon, what's the one? I can't think of the name now. The one where the main character cries at the very end, like holding his mom.
Oh, Our Blues.
Our Blues. That's another
Yeah.
good one.
Yeah. Good thing you didn't reveal any spoilers there. Our Blues. Do you have your notes? I think didn't you take some notes on it?
K-dramas that I recommend.
Yeah. But that's always hard whenever people, it really depends on what you like, right? That's a good point.
Yeah.
How about historical dramas? You said Mr. Sunshine, others?
Historical.
I have one that you just talked about that you're like, you really recommend.
Which is
that I was like, really? Kingdom?
Oh, Kingdom.
I was like, huh? That's something I was like, oh, okay.
Well, like
Kingdom
that's
was
more
well
of a
done.
zombie drama. But I think for
Mhm.
historical, because I tend to not like historical as much unless it's really well done. So I think Red Sleeve I watched with you, and I was like,
Yeah.
that was okay. But
Yeah. He just thought it was okay. I was like, what?
but
It was so good.
but Mr. Sunshine for sure. I started to rewatch parts of that as well because it's so well done. And this past September, October, when we went and visited the Sunshine Studio, that was a real treat to see all those locations kept intact. That was cool.
Mhm. Yeah, no, that was really cool. One of the best sites to see. Okay, how about the next question? We're going through them, and then there's one that I want to tackle there. What's the percentage of K dramas you and Jeanie watch together? I think we answered that,
Yeah.
right? 80. Well, yeah, 80%.
About 85.
And then the rest,
Yeah.
yeah, the rest is like free for all. Like I'll watch something where he's like, and then you'll watch something that I'll be like, I'm not watching that one. Usually the zombie ones or the scary ones.
And then
The clown
sometimes, and sometimes because of your work, like you have to watch some things on a faster pace than what I would be comfortable with. So I say go in and just watch it. And then when you're watching it, I end up watching something else like Home Sweet or something more, you know, something
Sweet
that
Home.
you wouldn't enjoy. And I know you wouldn't enjoy, so I don't feel bad about watching, you know?
Yes. Okay. So he just kind of did a quick little thing there. There are times when he's not watching them fast enough for me. I'm like, oh my gosh, I got to go to the next episode. So I've sneakily done it and then rewatched it with you. I think you know that, honey, right?
Yeah.
Then you get upset.
I do.
So, because sometimes we can't watch on the same level. It can be hard watching with your partner and spouse or family because you got to be on the same schedule. But no, we didn't see Crown Clown again. That's like so many on the watch list, but I heard good things about that one. Okay, let's move on. Do we have another question? Let's see if I think we have a couple left. Oh, what keeps you coming back to K-dramas?
Well, for me, because I was born in Korea and lived there until I was about 9, turning 10, I think I'm just fascinated with Korean content in general. So that always brings me back. And then, you know, like I'm married to her, so there are things that she wants to watch, and she tells me about the storyline, and I'm like, oh, that sounds interesting. So we'll end up watching, and I think the best way to watch K-drama is really to binge once they all drop, because waiting for it from weekend to weekend sometimes is really hard to do. So
and that's where we kind of disagree, right? Because I'm like, I don't mind waiting. You're like, oh, let's just wait. I'm like, no, I'd rather watch it now.
Yeah. But what keeps me going back to K-dramas over and over is the storytelling. You know, again, kind of the Eastern style of storytelling is different, and I think I resonate with that more. And definitely the fact that they can stir emotions on almost a regular basis, like as you watch them. Like I think that's special. And then like Reply 1988 is a good example of like that's kind of the time frame that I grew up in Korea. So I totally like it's like reliving my childhood almost through those characters. So things like that, I think it's pretty powerful that it can do that for me. So yeah.
Yeah. Yes, a lot of people are agreeing with you. It's not, I mean, I know a lot of people like to binge. I guess it's fun to do, but I guess I've learned to control myself. This, I think, is the last question I've heard. So I saw a question over here. Good job, honey. Good job, because I know that's not easy. By the way, he was pretty nervous. See, it doesn't feel like it's live, right? We see all
True.
this. We see all your favorite folks here from the tours that know you. Why can't I find these questions? I might need some help here. There is one question. Oh, well, let's pin this one from Mary Joanne Gonzalez. Jonathan, did you like Crash Landing or did only women 99%? I think it's kind of clear you liked it, right?
Yeah, I saw it twice.
Yeah. And I've seen lots of scenes but I've never seen the whole thing again through except the first time. And I've just seen lots of scenes, many times because I use them for deep dives and stuff. Yeah. So of course he liked Crash Landing. And actually, that's one of the ones we'll talk about. Oh, I like this one. What's a drama that you think is closest to portraying the Korean man in Korea?
I think the easy answer for the older generation is the Reply 1988 parents. I think those parents portrayed Korean parents, especially in that era, really well. Like you have kind of the goofy, eccentric Chung Bong's dad. And then you have like the banker that loves his kid, but really can't show his emotions in Tok Sun's dad. And then you have Tech's dad, who is kind of like a bear that shows no emotions, but he's worried about his son and all of that. So I think that is done really well. For the younger Korean men, see, that's a tough one because I can't think of anything that portrays a modern Korean guy really well, because most of these Korean leads are really good looking, to the point where like even the plastic surgeons say these Korean models and actors are just so perfectly symmetry and everything. It's hard to do. And then most of them.
And I was gonna say, we saw some of them in person. They look just the same in person.
True. Some of the actors, right, and actresses.
Yeah.
And then
I have one you said you like when you were like thinking of a young guy.
Which one?
I just drew a blank. Oh my God. You talked about it. My Liberation Notes. He's younger. Kushi.
He's younger.
Mr. Gu from My Liberation Notes. I thought you mentioned him.
No. Well,
okay, never mind.
Well,
maybe that's my wish. I like.
Well, him. For me, the startup dad was really interesting, and he's kind of younger, but like his character, like even though it's short lived, I think it was really well done. In kind of capturing the struggle for a modern Korean guy. But like going back to the whole concept, these guys have to, like the male leads are all like either well-to-do or wealthy or a chaebol to begin with. So a lot of times it's hard to relate to them. You know what I mean? So that's definitely tough.
Okay, I hope those were good answers or helped you guys. I'm trying to look to see if there's other questions. Real quick, let's go through, you had indicated 2 on the drama list. Let's go to My Mister, because we have to provide some deep dives for you guys, right? So I wanted to hear from my husband, and he indicated, we already talked about Reply 1988. So let's go to My Mister and why And when I said deep dive, he got all like, oh my gosh, what do you mean? I go, don't
Yeah.
follow my deep dive. How would you deep dive into this? Why do you like My Mister so much? Yes, it's one of my favorites too, but I would love to hear your perspective, or people want to hear your perspective.
Yeah, I mean, I think the relationship between the two leads is pretty admirable, you know? And, I think overall, if you really look at every individual character, there's a transformation that happens from the start to the end of the drama. And like one example is the main character's older brother. Like he's kind of the goofball in the family. He lost his job in the corporate world, and he was just struggling, and his marriage was kind of up in the air, and to see him change for the better, to be selfless and to think of her needs and to spend money that kind of he hoards, to see that transformation is powerful. And even the bad guy, the lone guy, for him to change at the end, I thought it was just so powerful and such good storytelling. But if you really think about it, like even himself, the girl transforms, his younger brother, the movie director guy, he changes. And then like even the side relationship with the monk and the cafe owner, like they transform as well. So it's just a very powerful storytelling, and a story that, so like I hope.
Yeah, I was going to say that the loan shark guy you're talking about is Chang,
Mm.
the really good looking young kid. So yes, he has one brilliant moment at the end that's really good. So hopefully we didn't spoil it for people.
Mm.
How about, even though we already talked about this one, this is technically your all-time favorite guy. So women, his all-time favorite is technically Crash Landing. And that's what you said, because obviously there's many, because when I put you on the spot, it's hard for you to formulate, honey. But why don't you just sum up a deep dive quickly on Crash Landing? I know you've already talked about it, but why did you want to see it again? Yeah, why did you want to see it all the way through again, which I remember you did?
Maybe this is me being a little personal, but growing up, I think I grew up in Korea when Korea was very poor. So when we bring folks into Korea, like this year, September and October, and they see Korea as is today, that is not the Korea that I remember growing up. Korea in the 70s and into the early 80s, it used to be a really poor country. And I actually grew up very, like I would say, poor, even though my dad owned his business. He was a great technician, great electronic guy. So he was a specialist in that. But when it came to business, he was a poor businessman. I mean, like I personally witnessed him spending like 45 minutes to an hour helping a soldier fix his rifle one time because it was jamming or something. He spent like 45 minutes to an hour, and the soldier was all ready to pay. And my dad was like, no, I'm not going to take your money. So see, stuff like that gets me emotional. So I think seeing Crash Landing on You, especially the North Korea side and how they lived, like I guess that really brings back not just memories, but just how I felt as a kid. And then the music is fantastic, so it kind of plays with your emotions there too. And then the story is good, and I love, again, just the brotherly connections between the soldiers. I think that's very special too. So I don't know. So I mean, like all those combined, it just makes me want to go back and rewatch again,
Yeah, honey, got emotional there. And also you should share your father's from North Korea. Like our family.
Yes, his family came from North Korea. They had to leave their home, and if you want to, I mean, he had to sacrifice his education for the sake of the family. So you talk about, I mean, he's a bright guy and he loves to read, but he gave up his education. So him and his brothers all worked um, at the family store, and they, I think 4 or 5 of them decided to send one off to college. And that happened to be my second um, Kanapa. So
Your oldest uncle or your second oldest
second
uncle.
oldest uncle. And he was clearly the scholar in the family. So they sent them to seminary, and he became a pastor and did all that. But again, I mean, they all sacrificed, and it was a tough childhood for him, because I think he gave up schooling, maybe middle school or something like that, or high school. Um, and again, for a guy that loved to read and loved to learn, I mean, can you imagine the sacrifice? So, like, even to this day, like, he won't take things for granted because he knew how tough things were. So yeah, so like I try to convey some of that uh, as a parent to our kids too, but that's hard, because it's different times.
Yeah, I learned something here, guys. I didn't know that. I mean, I knew all that about his family, but I didn't know Crash Landing brought all that. So I think that about wraps up our time with you. Any last minute questions, feel free to DM me. I would like to thank my husband for joining and getting emotional there.
I know.
Yeah. But that's a glimpse of what he does. Yeah, because I'll look over at him watching a K-drama. I'm like, honey, you want some tissues? But this is why I enjoy watching K-dramas with my own husband. So it's the best, except those scary ones I don't watch. Thanks, guys. Let's just give him a shout out. We're going to say goodbye to him because I'm going to wrap up real quick with some updates, more updates. Bye, honey.
Yeah, thanks for having me, you guys.
You guys still stay on. Yeah, honey, you want to come? Guys, you want him to come back? You can answer that later. All right. Thanks, honey. We'll see you soon.
Okay, bye, guys.
Thanks, guys. Okay. Wow. I hope you enjoyed that. I learned something from my husband watching that. I didn't realize that was such a connection with Crash Landing and his family background. Real quick, my 1K drama rec. This was kind of hard because watching a bunch right now. I already recommended Park's Marriage Contract. These are the latest ones. I recommend Samdal. So welcome to Samdal-ri. And I do recommend that. It has that very nice, easy feel. It's like, the seaside town. But what I really want to recommend about it, just FYI, is it has a deeper meaning for me when she's coming back and having to face the family, you face your town. There is that section, there is that whole thing in Korea where you go to Seoul to succeed. It's kind of like here in the US, you leave your small town and you go to New York City or Los Angeles or Chicago to make it big. I related to that because that's why I went to NYU from a small suburb of Philadelphia, a very small suburb. And then I went to NYU. But what I really liked they're showing is that show face, saving face, just part of the Korean culture, Asian culture. It's part of many cultures. But for Samdal, the main character, Shin Hye-sun, I love that it shows her struggle of that. And then, the community people, which are wonderful people, just being worried about the hearsay and the gossip. And she didn't even fail, right? Quote unquote fail, but that's the word they're using a lot. So I'm really deep diving in that part of it because that's so much part of the Korean culture and my own Korean American culture of like, how much do we want to show that our family? And then, the whole thing with the mom. Don't you love that actress? Oh gosh, I'm drawing a blank with the actress. Chang, I think, no, that's somebody else. But the mom the person who plays the mom and how much they care about also her being proud of them. That is why I'm watching it. Because I watched it and I went, oh, it seems cute. It's fun. Ji Chang-wook, I mean, who doesn't love him? Until it went to her whole, I guess, story narrative of like coming back and feeling like, oh my gosh, even though she's involved in something that's, not really about failing, it's just what happened, right? So I'm kind of hoping that there's a lot of things that'll resolve on that, but I highly recommend it. Really, there's a lot more depth there about the character and her own self-confidence and just what she's going through without me sharing. And I have not seen the latest episode, a little bit behind, but that's my recommendation for now. And then let's leave with this because I really wanted to share this. This is my K news. All right, BTS Army. And I actually shared about it on TikTok. I share different things on TikTok. I need you to listen to this podcast. Okay. It is called it's a New York Times podcast where they talk about K-pop. BTS, Jungkook, BTS, and English language K-pop. I don't normally say this. I don't like to be this blunt about it, but I'm listening. First of all, this was sent to me by a few people actually going, I need you to listen to this, Jeanie. It really upset me, or I need you to listen to this. This is from also a colleague that sent it to me, wanted my take. And I was like, okay. So I listened to it actually like 3 or 4 times now. It's about 30, 40 minutes. And I wanted to share this because it brought back when you feel like your own identity is being, what's the word? Like it brought back a lot of the memories, just like my husband getting emotional. I thought it was very discriminatory. So this is where I need your opinion. This is not as an army. This is more like, what is this person these 2 people talking about? Actually insulted, I think, Jungkook. The reason why I'm getting emotional, because it brought back the memory where I was on this BBC podcast, actually, and a couple of you guys know this from the September tour, that they called me, they refer to me as a super fan. So I'm getting emotional because it's not that. I don't care about, I am a super fan. I am a super K-drama fan. I absolutely love K-dramas. It's part of my self-care. But I felt like it was insulting when I'm a licensed mental health professional. I'm proud of my work. And when I heard this podcast, it brought back that BBC interview that went for an hour, and they didn't use any of my quotes, which is fine because people will think, is it an ego thing? No, because I mean, I'm interviewed all the time and I don't even share about it. But what got me was, don't resort my identity. When they referred to me as super fan, I go, oh my God, am I resorted to as a super fan? Am I only a super fan? I said, no, it's much more than that. You just diminished my work. So when I heard this podcast, the reason why I'm getting emotional is it diminished BTS's or Jungkook's work. Oh my goodness. Toward the end, I don't know about you, and I think I'm a pretty subdued BTS army, but when I heard that is insulting. Their impact is huge. As you guys know, you guys have felt so emotional. So the emotionality for me is not so much, I took it very personally, this podcast. I need you to listen to it. I don't like to say things are discriminatory, but it was completely discriminatory. I thought, hey, so you're telling BTS folks to like the fact that they speak English, their album doesn't belong. That's what I heard. But the reason why I got emotional is because that's what I heard growing up. Oh, you speak English? Wow, you speak such good English. I'm like, oh my God. And maybe a lot of you guys got that as immigrants, right? But this, I want to listen. I want you guys to share your opinion to me. You can DM me. You can text me for those of you guys who are close enough to text. These are the tour people. I want to know what you guys think. And again, when someone kind of pinpoints your identity and diminishes, this is my life's work. This is what I talk about. That intersectionality, it is very important to be proud of where you came from. It takes decades, in the sense of that's why age does matter when you're trying to figure out who you are. When you hit 50, you're like, okay, this is what's important. This is what's not important. But like I said, the emotion came out because it brought me back to 13, when I was age 13, and people were like saying, where's Korea? Like, is that even a country? I kid you not. People would say that. When I heard that podcast and I went, wow, have we resorted to 1980 where people are like, this Jungkook album is all in English. And I just went, what? Like, what? And so that to me is, and I talk about it briefly on TikTok, but I wanted to share about it here on my own show because I wanted to just share how I felt about it. Again, it was a great podcast to listen to because I got to hear a perspective that I was like, that I didn't agree with. Right. But also I would share when I was talked about on the BTC, that to me, that's why I didn't promote it. I'll be honest with you. And it had nothing to do with a quote or anything. It just resorted to my own identity and what I believe I stand for. So this is why the book means a lot. So I didn't think I'd get emotional, but that's because it's the end of the year and it's the holiday season. So let me know what you guys think of that podcast. Let's conclude with my homework to you. Okay. My homework to you is, what is your one word for 2024? What's your one word for 2024? You guys know my 2023 word was belongingness. God, I don't think I can beat that word, but I do think I have a word. I mean, I do have a word, which I'll share on January 1st. But it took me, and my husband knows this, I was like, okay. It took me a month to figure out my word because I don't just think of a word. I'm going to be like, here's my word. whatever I do in 2024 will be surrounding this word and includes the tours, my work, my speaking, how I interact with you, my family. That's how I'm going to live. And that's why I think I did a good job with belongingness. I'm still going to be talking about belongingness. You're going to hear it forever. But the 2024 word, I want you to pick one. I want you to really think about it. This is something I say to all my clients. They don't leave 2023 or any year without me saying that's your homework. You will surround your whole decisions around that word. For instance, a word I already heard was stop. And I went, oh, okay, that's pretty strong. But they were like, they just don't say stop. They wanted to be able to stop when they need to, or stop when things were, stop with the people that were toxic. This worked for this person. And whatever this person's going to do, they're going to stick by that. So that's what I mean by the word. I want you to take it seriously, because it can make your whole year of going, you know what, this doesn't align. Like, my word is peace. And you know what, this isn't bringing me peace. So I'm not going to do it. And that helps take out the noise. And that is why I assigned that one word for 2024. So that's your homework, guys. So if you're part of my community, I hope you can think about that word. Share with me. There will be a live show on January 1st, because I want to kick off the new year with some updates. And I want to share my word and start it out there with the bang, because 2024 is a big year with my book and more tours. And I hope I'm going to see some of you on my tours. So I can't wait. All right, guys, that is it. Thank you for joining me. And thank you for my husband. Maybe we should bring him back. Yeah, because I think because he got emotional, then I got more emotional. It's kind of like a ripple effect, right? I love you guys. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. If you don't celebrate, then happy holidays to all of you, and keep in touch. I'll see you guys again soon.